Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
We are ready for the event.
The Weather Channel, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Equipped 2014 G.
Station, this is the Weather Channel. How do you hear me?
Total value.
Hello, I have you loud and clear. Welcome to the International Space Station.
A curveball. Let's do.
Beautiful. Thanks for having us. What a pleasure to speak to you guys this morning. We're very excited to have you.
And going.
We are in the middle of a commercial
we're very excited
break.
you could join us.
Coming out in about... Yes. So right now we're in the middle of a commercial break, and we're going to come out and be with you in about 5 minutes, and then we will be completed with our interview by the end of our interview window, which is 25 after, which is 9 minutes from now. So we will adhere to our times.
Tons of travel sites.
Copy all.
Well, I guess you're the brains of this operation.
So just to give you guys a review of some of the questions we have in store here. First, Karen, we have lots of photos that you've taken, and we've strung a bunch of them together. So we're just going to ask you, talk about what captures your imagination from space as you take these photos, and just kind of talk about those. And then we are going to follow up, since you're the Weather Channel. We do have a couple images you snapped from Hurricane Raymond a couple weeks ago over Mexico. So, we're just curious, as you're seeing dangerous weather unraveling from space, what are you thinking, and are your thoughts of people or whatever? So we're going to ask you guys that. And then we're going to turn to a Mike Hopkins. And, Mike, we're going to talk about your special Facebook page encouraging people to train like astronauts. And we do have a couple photographs from the website that we have, so you can talk about what that involves. And then we want to wrap up with a question about the Olympic torch, which is going to be with you guys in about 2 days. We do have video of the Russian rocket we got today from which is going to be launching into space. So that's what we're going to be talking over.
I'm calling. Call now to request your free quote, and we'll send you a free calculator.
By, we're up in about 2 minutes, about 2 minutes back. And you'll be Reynolds and Jen. Reynolds and Jen.
That's a lot. I don't think 5 seconds. Do you think 5? It is 20 minutes past the hour. Time now for a check on the winter weather in store for the plains.
That's right. That means it's time for the man, Tom Nizzle, with the very latest in the weather situation in terms of weather. What's happening, big guy?
Well, we can.
All right, about 1 minute back.
Nebraska, and we've picked up a couple of webcams here to show the snow cover really starting to accumulate on the grassy surfaces. And this is I-80, and on I-80 you can even see on the roadways right now that we're beginning to get slush covered as that snowfall rate increases throughout the rest of the morning here. Even these main roads are going to have some problems. So let's go back and take a look at the radar right now. And on our radar image, the webcam was right here, right around Sydney, but you can see how this snow is continuing to move northeastward here as that cold air filters in behind the system, changes the precipitation over the snowfall. As we continue throughout the day here, we're going to continue to see that snow move eastward. This is our computer model showing it moving through North Platte, and then as the afternoon progresses here into the evening rush hour around Minneapolis, that snow is going to increase in earnest across that area. If you have anything to do in Minneapolis this afternoon, 30 seconds, stand by. Earlier in the afternoon, by that rush hour time frame, things are going to get messy there. As quickly as it comes in, though, it comes out of that area overnight, transfers up to the UP of Michigan, and the snow event will be over for the Midwest and Plains. Total snowfall in here about 5 to 8 inches. I'm looking more on the 5-inch end right now across Nebraska. We'll have more information on this in our later segment. Send it back to you guys.
Okay, that is nice and chilly forecast. Very cool. You know, and speaking of something else that's cool, we got it for you right now. It is an out-of-this-world view of our planet.
And a conversation, too. Joining us live from the International Space Station are astronauts Karen Nyberg and Mike Hopkins. Guys, thanks so much for being here. So cool to have you on the show.
And Karen, let's start with you. We know that you've captured some incredible images from out in space. Can you show us some of them?
And we do have a little bit of a delay, as you can imagine, going up into space. Karen, if you can hear us, we've got some of the tremendous images that you're able to capture from the space station. What piques your curiosity and your imagination most up there?
Well, mostly my goal when I got here and when the first time I saw the Earth from space was on my shuttle flight in 2008. And I just really wanted to try and share that view as much as I could. And also save the memories for myself. And what I've done is tried to use a lens that shows exactly what it looks like to us when we are looking out the window and really grab the colors and the textures and that sort of thing that we see from here. And so, like I said, to save it for myself for the future, when I've maybe forgotten in my mind what it really looks like, I can look at these pictures, and then also to share with all the other people in the world that don't get to the opportunity to see that view.
You know, Karen, perspective is everything, and when you are way up in orbit and you're looking down and you see things like some of the images you have of Hurricane Raymond, what goes through your mind when you're up there?
It's an interesting question because everything is so beautiful, even the storms. There's one particular image I took of some storms over Ghana, and I have a very good friend from Ghana. And so at the time, I'm looking at it, and you could see the height of the clouds, and it was just so beautiful. But then you realize, and you think about it, and having that contact or that, knowing somebody that is from there just made it very special and made you think about what really is happening underneath there. And for the hurricane, actually at the time, I hadn't seen the news for a while, and I didn't know there was a hurricane in that area. And so after I snapped those pictures of Hurricane Raymond, I went and got online and looked and saw that sure enough there was a hurricane.
Now, Mike, I want to ask you about your Facebook page. You encourage people to train like astronauts. What does that mean?
Well, I think the big thing is for us, physical fitness is a very important part of our day, of our lives up here. We end up, it's so important that they put it on our schedule for at least a couple hours a day. And that's because there's a lot of negative effects of life in microgravity. We end up losing muscle mass. We end up having our bones get weaker. And so we need to make sure that we're exercising to help counteract that. But that's also important for people on the Earth. And so my goal with all of the Train Like an Astronaut or being a part of that was to encourage people to get out and exercise and stay fit because it's very important for life up here and life on Earth.
I hate to cut you off in space, but we have a hard break. Mike and Karen, thank you so much for joining us from the space station.
Very cool.
That was awesome, guys. Thank you so much for joining us.
With our tires for people.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the Weather Channel portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from KSDK-TV.
Station, this is KSDK-TV. How do you hear me?
And we hear you loud and clear. Welcome to the International Space Station.
Okay, it is an honor. Mike, since you're holding the microphone and you're from Missouri, I'll start with you. How's your first mission in space going?
It's going absolutely fantastic, better than I could have hoped for so far, and I'm absolutely just enjoying everything about it, and I've got great crewmates up here to spend the time with as well.
And in layman's terms, Mike, what are you doing up there?
Well, we're actually doing quite a bit. When I first showed up, we had a visiting vehicle show up with supplies for us, and so Karen and Luca had to capture that. And then there was a lot of unloading and reloading some of our trash to put on that. And then we're doing a lot of science. There's going to be over 200 experiments being performed over the course of the mission. And so a lot of our days are spent executing that science. And then there's normal maintenance. The station is very much like a house, and things break and things need routine maintenance. And so we spend a lot of time doing that as well.
Okay, Mike, I have two more questions for you, but let me ask Karen a question now. Karen, I read you consulted Sandra Bullock for the movie Gravity. Tell me about that.
Actually, that was Katie Coleman, who flew here on Space Station a couple years ago, and I believe she actually talked to Sandra Bullock when she was on board, and she gave her some tips on how to move around in space, the kind of effort that it takes to move, and one of the things she had told her was how little effort it takes to move from one wall to the next, and she said that you can use one single strand of hair to do that. And so when Katie told me that she had talked to Sandra Bullock about that, I decided to try it and actually made a video demonstrating just what little effort is required to move around without gravity.
Oh, I see. Forgive me. I'm sorry about that, Karen. Karen, could you talk about this Olympic torch thing? Everyone keeps asking me, how will the torch stay lit in space?
Actually, that's a good question. I honestly don't know. I have not personally seen the torch yet. We'll see it here in a couple days. I think it's pretty exciting, though, because I think what the International Space Station is showing is tremendous international cooperation that is very similar to what we see in the Olympics. It's just people getting along, competing in a very friendly way. We built this International Space Station. It's pretty remarkable what we were able to do on an international level.
And Mike, my next question's for you, Mike and Karen. We're all so proud of both of you, but Mike, you're from Missouri. What would you say to a young boy or a girl who would like to be an astronaut? What's the one thing they would need to do?
Well, first of all, anything's possible, certainly. And the thing that anybody needs to do is find something that they love, that they're passionate about. And you follow that, and if things are going to work out with being an astronaut, then they'll work out. But if they don't, you still have something that you're doing that you absolutely are passionate about.
And if you had to pick one thing, Mike, I know your folks are still here in Missouri. What thing do you really miss about Missouri? Something people down here would love to hear?
You know what? It is the people that I miss the most about Missouri. There's something special about everyone there. I came from a small town in Missouri, and everyone's just so friendly. It's such a tight community, and so you miss that piece up here. We're a very small community as well up here, but we also have our ground teams. But I certainly miss the folks in Missouri.
Mike, you're not going to believe this. This isn't my first time seeing you. I was at a U of I Southern Illinois football game in 1990 when you beat the Salukis 56-21. Little did I know, looking down on the field, one of the defensive backs for the Illini would be floating in space. This is pretty heady stuff.
Yeah, those were some great times back at the University of Illinois playing football. In fact, that was a big day for Howard Griffith as well. He set the NCAA record for touchdowns in a single game that game.
I remember. I saw him at CAMS later that night, but I'm sure you weren't at CAMS. You were probably studying or something. Listen, you guys, I know your time's valuable.
Absolutely.
We're so proud of both of you. Hey, just for a special favor, could I ask both of you guys to just hold out your hand, showing all 5 fingers, and then holding up your index finger? It's like our station thing, 5-1, if you wouldn't mind. That is great. That is great. Well, God bless you guys. I know, Mike, you come back in March, I believe, and Karen, I'm not sure about when your mission ends, but God bless you. This has been a real honor to talk to you today.
Well, thank you very much. Certainly enjoyed talking to you, and also it's great to hear from Missouri.
All right, great.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event. Thank you.